Hey guys, Aaron here, Off the Scales Fishing. Well, the month of April is here, and I got the baits for you guys to catch them on. Let's talk about it. Yeah, so the month of April, guys, this is, by far and away my most favorite month to fish. I mean, all the fish are starting to move shallow. Here in Alabama and Georgia, we're right in the heart of pre-spawn. And, this is when all those big females are going to start roaming around, wanting to spawn. They're going to wait for the water temp to get just perfect, and then they're going to move up. But pound for pound, this is the time of year to catch, your biggest fish is right now in April. Guys that are, in Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, living closer to the coast, your fish are probably in all three phases right now. But up here in Alabama and Georgia, and I say Alabama and Georgia because, that's the lakes that I fish. We're kind of right in the heart of the pre-spawn right now. So this is the time. I mean, honestly, man, if I could fish every day, I would this month. I mean, that's how much I want to be on the water because, it's all the magic is happening right now. So let's get into some of these baits. I think we'll kick it off with the chatterbait. And, a chatterbait was on my last month's video, but top 5 plus a kicker. But I tell you what, man, chatterbait is just going to stay on my top 5 baits or what have you for the next few months because, they're just, there's no better way to cover water. You can fish the chatterbait on the big wide open flats searching for fish. I feel like I catch fish, right off bed with the chatterbait a lot of times because, this chatterbait is, coming through the water, so fast and, they feel that on their lateral line and, they're just going to react. They're going to, any baits that are coming around their bed, they're going to be aggressive about. And man, I'm telling you, I think I absolutely catch a lot of fish on bed, with the chatterbait. As far as the 3 colors I'm going to stick to is your shad pattern. This is an Ebo Elite. I love the new blades. I've talked about these on other videos. So, that's kind of like your gizzard shad pattern. We'll get into trailers and stuff here in just a minute. But then, you got your golds, your gold blades. I love this color. I've absolutely done work on some bass in stained water. Gold shines in stained water. So, that's kind of your perch crawl color, if you will. Love that thing. Probably my all-time favorite, to be honest with you. And that's the jackhammer. And then, your crawl patterns, like your fire craws, things like that. Your bright colors for ultra stained water. Definitely still going to throw some reds, in the spring for sure. Just because, we're still dealing with big spring rains, things like that. So your water's going to get, it's still going to be pretty murky or stained up. So, those are the 3 right there, that I'm going to play with. And on that particular day, I may tie, all 3 on and then kind of let the fish tell me what they're biting the best. So, so that's, you just cannot go wrong with a chatterbait. Right now it's just, it is going to shine like no other right now. I'm probably going to catch the majority of the fish off a chatterbait more than anything in April. So that's going to stay on my hands a lot. Some of my favorite trailers that I pair them up with is the Crush City Freeloader and that gizzard shad. It gives off that chatterbait a really great hunting action. And then, of course, the hog farmers, those are just freaking awesome, as far as a hunting action as well. And then, a new one I kind of picked up is called, a Zoom Shimmer Shad. Hot Zamales is how you pronounce it. That thing pairs up great with your fire craws. I've really grown to love this trailer a whole lot. I was actually watching a tournament on Sandy Cooper a while ago from the MLF, and that's how I found out about these, because this guy, a pro, talked about it, and I ordered some. And man, that joker right there is freaking awesome. So those are just three of my favorite trailers when it comes to chatterbaits. I know there's several other ones out there on the market, but those are my favorite. And, you know, those are the ones that I fish the most. So, ways you want to fish a chatterbait. You know, a lot of guys thinks that, or, you know, some people think that a chatterbait is just made for weedy lakes, but that's just not the case at all. You know, I catch them in lakes that don't even have weeds. I mean, I just did a video, this last video, and there's no weeds in that lake at all. But, you know, when there's, you know, no weeds in lakes, man, I mean, you can like literally almost drag this chatterbait as well. You know, cast it out there, and, you know, reel the thing, you know, let it fall all the way to the bottom, and kind of just crawl that thing to where you have the blade just barely turning, you know, or barely, you know, moving or whatever. And that sometimes will get the biggest bites. So that's a great way to fish it too, almost like you're fishing a jig. So, I mean, just, you know, barely creeping that thing on the bottom, trying to keep bottom contact if you can, you know, that, depending on what depth you're at. But, you know, straight reeling will absolutely catch them. And then let's say you're fishing weeds or whatever, you know, the weeds are starting to grow and they're starting to get a little thicker, you know, and you're reeling along and you feel that blade stop and you feel like you get hung up, then, you know, give it a pop, you know, rip that thing out of the weeds, and 9 times out of 10, that fish is going to freaking hammer that thing. So, you know, there's just a couple ways to, you know, to fish a chatterbait, guys. As far as gear that I'm going to, you know, your gear that you're going to fish it on, anything, you know, a medium heavy, you know, with a moderate action. You know, you got to have that parabolic bend in your rod, because a lot of times when these fish come up, you know, they'll be following it or whatever, and you won't even feel the bite a lot of times. They'll just swoop on it. And you got to have that parabolic bend and that moderate action to keep those fish pinned. And then you're just going to lean into them and reel as fast as you can. I think a 7:1 gear ratio is about ideal, you know, for a chatterbait rod, or I'm sorry, a chatterbait reel. A six is just too slow, because if the fish are running at you, you have to be able to catch up. And an 8:1 to me is just a little too fast. So that 7:1 speed I think is about ideal. I have a dedicated chatterbait rod. I got that new Jacob Wheeler Select Series rod. It's, you know, meant for the chatterbait. I mean, that's what it's meant for. But you can get away with the 7.3, you know, all the way up to a 7.4, 7.5. I mean, there's a ton of chatterbait rods on the market, but, you know, that's the one I like. It's a 7.4 Jacob Wheeler Select Series rod. So, man, that's a lot of information about a chatterbait, but I love chatterbait fishing. It's one of my very favorite techniques. So you guys get out there and hammer them on it. So hard baits, your square bills. You know, square bills are a lot of fun, and I've really grown fond of this new Bill Lewis SB57. This is in the crystal crawdad color. Like I said, I'm still going to be throwing some oranges and some reds in the spring. This guy right here is a coffin. You know, it's got the coffin bill on it. And, man, this thing will deflect off of wood. I mean, this is kind of like the 4x4 of square bills. You know, this thing is just freaking awesome. And you can throw it up in wood, lay down, stuff like that. And, you know, it's going to bounce off cover. You know, it's just an amazing little crankbait. So that right there made my top list for my square bills. And then I kind of got a sleeper for you guys. I don't think a whole lot of guys know about this thing. It's kind of an old school crankbait, and it's kind of mixed between a lipless and a, you know, like a trap and a crankbait. but it's really more like a crankbait. And this thing is a floating crankbait. So, you know, it's, you know, it'll dive up to 8 feet, but you know, these are meant for the shallows when fish are on bank, or, you know, they're on flats, or, but this little guy right here is called the Lure Jensen Speed Trap. And this thing is literally just meant to burn in the shallows. And when I say burn, I mean, it runs true. You can see how, you know, skinny that thing is. It's almost like, you know, set up like a rattle trap. And man, I just love this color right here. This color right here is called Crystal Crawdad. Oh, I'm sorry. The Lure Jensen is the Crystal Crawdad. I told you wrong. The Bill Lewis is the Strawberry Craw. So that's the color on the Bill Lewis. And then this one's called Crystal Crawdad. So this thing is just, you know, it's got an orange belly. You know, kind of fades into yellow on the side and then kind of orange on the top with little gold flakes. This thing right here, man, is going to get some big bites in April. I know it is. So that's going to be one of my favorites. It's a 1/4 ounce weight. So, you know, I'm gonna love this thing, man. When that Squarebill bite is on, that thing is tough to beat. It's a lot of fun. Moving on to, I'm gonna be throwing some bigger swim baits too. You know, because those big females are gonna be roaming around, you know, looking to, you know, go on bed. And you know, what better way to catch them than a big swim bait, you know? This guy right here is the only soft glide that's made right now, and that's the Berkeley Nessie in the 7-inch. I really like this. It's super easy to work. It's really lightweight too, so I mean, you don't really need a heavy action rod to fish it. And man, this is just, I really like this. It's got a little keeper for the hook that pops off, which is really cool. You know, it keeps the treble pegged right there, you know, which I really like. But man, just a simple, you know, rod twitch, or a, you know, even a reel twitch, you know, we'll work this guy side to side. It looks super phenomenal in the water. I know it's going to get some big bites this, you know, in April, so I'm definitely going to be fishing that a lot too. Looking for a big bite, you know, from them big females. So, you know, that's your big swim bait. Moving on to, you know, your underspins. You know, this is the Dirty Jigs Matt Allen underspin. You know, and then I got it paired up with a Largo shad. You know, in the gizzard shad color. I really like the Largo shads a lot. You know, in underspin, you know, when a lot of fish are pre-spawn and they're chasing bait, that little extra flash of that blade, man, will get you some extra bites. It'll really stand out and get you some extra bites. So, you know, that's why I picked this, you know, the underspin. You know, that's the mini underspin Dirty Jig head. So that thing is freaking awesome. You know, really love that thing. So I'm going to fish that a lot in April as well. So moving on to some soft plastics here. You know, I got quite a few different kind of craws and stuff like that. One of the main ones that I'm gonna fish in April is the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw in the watermelon red color. These things right here are just an awesome little craw. You know, it's just a tiny little package, I feel like. And, you know, it seems to get a lot of bites in the spring and in April. And, you know, just a quick tip for you guys. I'm going to use, instead of your standard EWG hook, I like to use a Gamakatsu off-shank worm hook for this. And the reason being is, when you rig this guy up, you know, he's going to sit back. This hook is going to sit back further in the bait. You know, almost all the way in the back, you know, of the bait. And there's a reason for that, because, you know, just a little tip, you know, I feel, actually, I don't know if this is the right size. I may use one size. I think this is a size, what size is this? I think this is a size 5 or 4 or something like that. But you know, the reason I'll fish that is because, you know, a lot of times when these fish are bedding and things like that, you know, you guys know as well as I do, they'll pick it up by the back of the craw, you know, and then they'll move it off their bed and try to spit it. So I like using this long shank. This long shank really pairs up well with this craw, and I use a light wire hook. All my hooks that I use on my craws are Gamakatsu light wire hooks. But anyway, back to the reason I use that long shank, because they'll pick it up, and it just gives you that much more advantage of, you know, that longer shank in the body if for them to grab it, and they might be there. It doesn't give them so much opportunity to pick up more of the bait and then move it off the bed, you know, and then spit it. So that's kind of why I use that long shank hook, worm hook. So just a tip for you guys, you might want to try that out. You might land a few more fish doing that. So moving on to some other craws that I like. You know, the last video in March top baits, you know, I used the lizard, which I'm still going to be throwing the lizard, but I came across these Hog Walla 5.8. You know, it's a longer creature bait, and you know, it seems like big creature baits like lizards and, you know, this Hog Walla really shine in April. It's just, I don't know if it's a big meal or if it's more intimidating to them. I'm not really sure, but this thing is freaking awesome on a Carolina rig. I'm probably just gonna fish it on, you know, that same hook, or, you know, an EWG hook. So that's just another bait for you guys to throw. I really like the way this thing looks. Haven't had a whole lot of chance to fish it yet, so I'm pretty eager to get out there and fish it. So there's another soft plastic. Moving on to the Crush City cleanup craw in the 3.5 inch. I really like these, and you know, I actually have one rigged up right now on my jig and worm rod, and I have this is another Jacob Wheeler 7.7 power action. It's a heavy, but ducker rods always have a tip, man. I just absolutely love this rod, and that's, you know, that's what I fish all my lizard, you know, my lizards on, my, you know, my craws, you know, all that type of stuff. So, but one thing that I am doing is I'm running a snell knot. You know, and the reason I run a snell knot for this time of year is because, you know, I'm trying to take every advantage. You know, if I'm flipping into cover or anything, I mean, honestly, I'll even throw this. I have such confidence in the snell knot, and I'll just tell you why. Because, you know, when you lift up on that weight, all right, let me take this creature bait off. So I'm going to run a snell knot on a Gamakatsu flipping hook. And I really love this hook, and I love to throw a snell knot or tie a snell knot because of this reason right here. So you see the line and your tungsten, which I'm going to peg it. You know, I'm going to peg this every time. But, you know, the reason I like to, you know, run a snell knot is because of this right here. Watch when I pull on this line and I pull down on this hook. Look what that hook does. So that right there is going to give you, you know, a serious better hookup ratio, you know, when you go to set the hook. And man, when you jack them, it's almost in the roof of their mouth every single time. I love the snell knot this time of year just to give me that much more advantage, you know, on these fish. So, you know, try that snell knot out on that Gamakatsu flipping hook, and I'm definitely going to peg it. So, you know, try that guy out. Right now, like I said, I got the cleanup craw, the Crush City cleanup craw on that guy right now. So yeah, so that's the cleanup craw. And I mean, how can you go wrong with your rage tail, you know, rage craws? I mean, you know, I use those a lot too in the spring. I've caught a lot of big fish on these. Matter of fact, the 912 right above me, I caught on the rage crawl like last well, like 3 years ago in mid-March. So that's kind of a staple. You know, I like the Falcon Lake Craw color. I really like the motor oil color in these. Matter of fact, I'm out. I got to order some more. But and then what? Oh, and before I go there, I'm using man, I'm gonna downsize my weights, my tungstens. You know, when you peg these, you know, this time of year. So my tungstens that I'm gonna peg, I'm gonna downsize this year because, or this time of year, because I really want these baits to look super, super natural, you know, when you're throwing them on bed or, you know, even out in open water, depending on what structure you're throwing in, weed lines, you know. So I would go all the way down to a 1/8 tungsten in the green pumpkin, or, you know, a 3/16. Those are the tungstens that I really like to use on my craws, you know, this time of year. You know, because the fish are going to be shallow anyway, and the more weight that you use, the more stuff you're just going to, you know, weeds you're going to bring up, or what have you. So, man, I'm just trying to be ultra natural, give these craws and stuff an ultra natural look. One more thing that I'm going to try this spring and this month is the Ozar rig. This is a new hook, a relatively new hook. It's called the Ozar rig, and the weight is actually right on the hook. Okay, so this is going to give those fish a completely different look than your normal peg tungsten that's just going to drop fast. This guy right here it's going to hover. So, you know, depending on what soft plastic, which I'm going to try the G-Crack Bellows Shad. You know, this is another bait that I've, you know, absolutely caught them really good on. It's got some great action in it. It's just a little goofy to rig. You know, you rig it sideways. You don't rig it vertical. You rig it sideways, but it's just got some great action. So I think I'm going to try this G-Crack on this Ozark rig. I forget the weight on this thing, but the less weight, the better, because it's gonna, when it falls, it's gonna kind of, you know, go side to side and fall and give those fish a completely different look. This might be one of those things that you drop on their bed and they're just, you know, they're looking at it and they're like, you know, it's just gonna give them a different look and might give them that much more reason to bite it. So they are a little weird to rig on these Ozark rigs because it's like a 90-degree line tie. But I'll rig one up for you guys real quick. So, you know, it's just a kind of like a Texas rig. So you put it in there like so, you know, bring it out, and then run that guy, you know, up the hook. And then, you know, bring him out. And then he's gonna sit right on top of that hook right there, you know, and then to expose it. One great thing about these G-Cracks, man, you can see the well, I didn't rig it up all that well just because, you know, I'm doing a video, but you can see what's really cool about these G-Crack baits. You can bury that hook right behind those ribs, which is freaking awesome. It makes it super weedless. And then that, you know, that little keeper is going to keep it up right there. So, and like I said, it's just going to give it a different fall. So I'm going to try that out this spring. I don't know if you guys have them, but if you do, you know, let me know. Let me know in the comment section if you guys are already catching them on the Ozark rig. But this is definitely something I want to start playing with, just because it's going to give those fish a completely different look. So when these fish do start getting on bed, you know, especially like the big females, and you can see them on bed, or maybe you can't see them on bed. Just a tip, you know, don't ever try to, you know, always leave that fish a route out. You know what I mean? Don't, like, say you're bed fishing and, you know, you have that fish pinned in there, and that, you know, in like a little area, and, you know, and there's only one direction for him to go, and that's straight under your boat. I know this because I've done it myself in the past, and you pin them in there and they feel trapped. You always want to leave them an escape route, so then you can actually have a good chance at catching those fish, because if you keep them pinned in there and you throw in your bait in there and they pick it up, and let's just say they do get it, they're going to run straight at you, and you won't have a fast enough gear ratio to catch up with them. Trust me. So, just a hint, just a tip there, guys. Don't ever trap a fish or feel like they're, where they can't seem to get out or have some kind of escape route, and you'll probably be able to catch those fish. Also, one more thing I wanted to talk about, I think this time of year that's important, is fish care. I don't think this is the time of year to be, especially when you're starting to see signs of the females with bloody tails, fish, bigger fish that are up there on bed. This is the time of year that you just want to take your picture and put them right back, where you caught them. I don't think this is the time of year to be, putting a whole bunch of fish in your live well and keeping them, in there all day long, especially, on your favorite lakes. You want to take care of your favorite lakes or smaller, especially smaller bodies of water, because, your bigger fish are your best producing fish. So, keep that in mind this time of year, or, this month, and going into next month, and just during this whole spawning process that they're going through, because it's pretty stressful on them as it is. They're already seeing more fishing pressure than they ever have before. I mean, us anglers are feeling the fishing pressure. I know you are. It seems like you can go even on a Monday or Tuesday and the boat ramp is full these days. It's just crazy. So you can imagine the pressure that we're feeling when we go out to our favorite, spots or lake, and there's, 4 or 5 boats on there already, and you feel discouraged. Well, I feel like the same thing. I think most importantly, it's important that we take care of our fisheries and take care of our fish. So just keep that in mind. Take your pictures if you catch them off bed, or if you catch them and they're showing signs of spawning or whatever, man, just put those fish back, man. Let's take care of our fish, guys. Those are kind of my baits, you guys, for the month of April. Man, like I said, if I could fish every single day this month, I would. I mean, this is just, this is the freaking time, man, to get out there and just, catch a lot of fish and catch some of the biggest fish of the year. So, you guys get out there, have a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel and share my videos. I'm out here working hard, doing this part-time, outside of my normal business that I do. So you guys, I hope this video, helped you guys, as far as these baits, and you guys get out there and enjoy the time on the water, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.